This is the first video created by myself and my dad. So how is this video going to work? The key intent of creating this content is to encourage my dad to create more output, because he has a lot of information. Of course, he has provided his content, which I'm simply just going to do a narration. The title, as I mentioned, is some random thoughts of the Silicon Valley Bank failure, and I believe the YouTube must have recommended this video to you because you may be interested in the finance or investments. So I'm just going to start narrating. The failure of Silicon Valley Bank has taught us some lessons, how important liquidity can be. We learned the dramatic fall of the bank resulting not from impact of incurring sizable losses from bad loans, but the depleting of liquidity and its fire sales of assets. No bank by itself ride through a bank run unhurt, because the bank must have lent out or invested the deposits collected from customers. This really feels like some, when primary school you had to narrate out the entire paragraph to the invigilator sitting at the other side of the table. So this really brings up some primary school memories lah. No bank by itself ride through a bank run unhurt, because the bank must have lent out or invested the deposits collected from customers. These loans and investments are largely illiquid assets. One would have thought the loans to Silicon Valley companies turned bad. The bank run was a result by depositors withdrawing their funds in huge sums during the last 2 days of its collapse. Facing deposit withdrawals, it has to fire sale its investment assets in long-term treasuries, which are experiencing declining value and kept in the book as unrealized floating losses. Even though the bank has the intention to hold the treasury until maturity, it has to resort to such rash measure as to force sale them to meet the liquidity crunch, and the proceeds from sale can't satisfy the withdrawal demand. The bank simply collapsed. We think the bank could have underestimated the risk involved of holding on to an asset class like treasuries, whose value dropped with higher interest rates in huge quantity by not taking up hedging. Rates were on the rise through the course of 2022. Values of treasuries must have seen a trend of decline over time, as an indicator of warning to the management the need for a late stop gate measure. Okay? So this is the common practice of an ordinary investor, holding on to a losing position without hedging or a cut loss point. Bear in mind that banks borrow short term and lend long term, such that there is a threat of mismatch of liquidity. The banks could have counted on the central bank as the lender of last resort for help for liquidity. The help did not come in timely for Silicon Valley's bank's rescue. The Fed now allows banks to pledge treasuries for loans based on their full face value instead of their current market value. This is a great help to other banks who may be in a similar situation. In view of the huge size of outstanding treasuries, will Fed be able to accommodate, or is to put up such requests? Isn't it becoming the risk taker when rates go higher and higher? Fed is once again in a position it was in during the 2008 subprime debt crisis, when it bought gigantic amounts of toxic securities from banks. In summary, think liquidity, think water in a desert. Okay. Business cannot function well with tight liquidity or may face the threat of technical insolvency. For an individual, the cash is needed for its emergency use. The market has been in a bear market with falling prices that investors may attempt to evaluate which stocks to cut loss so that some liquidity is realized for next investment opportunity. So that's the end of his content. Definitely one first disclaimer. While I'm helping him to narrate, I just want to let the community know that his investment philosophy and my investment philosophy, there are some differences. Okay, I'm still rooted in value investing, whereas it's more on the economic and trading that side. So key thing for you is what did you learn from this video? Because I think that's very important feedback for my dad to improve or to improve his content, right? So the second thing is also really to help him to have more interactions, right? Just to make sure that my parents age actively. So that's basically the first video. The next content should be coming out in 2 weeks time. So while this video lands in your feeds, do let us know what is your biggest takeaway. What have you learned from this video? Write it in the comments and I'll catch you in the next one.